The Tchouameni question. Why United should extend Casemiro instead of spending 88 million. Welcome to Unite United News, where we question expensive solutions to solve problems. Hello and welcome to Unite United News, where we help Manchester United fans understand when spending big money actually makes sense and when it would be throwing good money after bad. Today we need to discuss a potential transfer that makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. Reports suggest that if United cannot agree a new contract with Casemiro, they will pursue Aurelien Tchouameni from Real Madrid for approximately £88 million. This is madness. Pure madness. Why spend that kind of money on a midfielder when the solution is already at the club? Thank you for trusting us to explain why this would be terrible business and what United should actually do instead. Now let us break down this absurd situation. The Casemiro revival nobody expected. Remember when Jamie Carragher told Casemiro to leave the football before it leaves him? That was brutal. That was harsh. And it turned out to be completely wrong. Because Casemiro has been brilliant this season under Ruben Amorim. Absolutely brilliant. The Brazilian midfielder has rediscovered the form that made him one of the best defensive midfielders in the world. He is controlling games. He is breaking up attacks. He is distributing the ball intelligently. He is showing all the quality that made Real Madrid keep him for so long and made United pay big money to bring him to Old Trafford. Rio Ferdinand recently hit back at Carragher's comments, calling them highly disrespectful. Ferdinand said that when you are talking about a 5-time Champions League winner who is going through a difficult period, maybe show some patience before declaring his career over. Players lose form. Players lose confidence. But that does not mean their legs are gone forever. And Ferdinand was right. Casemiro's recent performances have proven that he still has plenty to offer. Against Tottenham in that dramatic 2-2 draw, he was excellent. He regularly keeps Manuel Ugarte out of the team now. He has become important to how Amorim wants United to play. This is a player who was being written off just months ago. A player who many thought was finished at the top level. A player who some fans wanted sold immediately. And now he is one of United's most consistent performers. This is why you do not panic. This is why you give quality players time to adapt and find form. But now a new problem has emerged. Contract talks. Casemiro's deal expires soon and negotiations about an extension are apparently dragging on. Amorim wants to keep him. Ineos are talking to his representatives. But no agreement has been reached yet. And this is where things get stupid. Because reports suggest that if United cannot agree a new deal with Casemiro, they will spend £88 million on Aurelien Tchouameni from Real Madrid as a replacement. Let us repeat that. They might spend £88 million to replace a player who is currently performing brilliantly because they cannot agree contract terms. Does that make any sense at all? Who is Aurelien Tchouameni? Before we criticize the potential Tchouameni signing too heavily, let us acknowledge that he is a good player. A very good player, actually. He plays for Real Madrid. He is a French international. He is 25 years old and entering his prime years. Carlo Ancelotti has praised him. He clearly has quality. Tchouameni joined Real Madrid from Monaco for a large fee. He was one of the most highly rated young midfielders in Europe. Real Madrid beat many other clubs to sign him. That tells you he is talented. That tells you elite clubs see something special in him. This season, Tchouameni has made 874 minutes in La Liga. His statistics show quality. He averages 5.88 progressive passes per 90 minutes, which shows he can move the ball forward effectively. He wins tackles and recovers the ball for his team. He does the job that defensive midfielders are supposed to do. The fact that he shares an agent with Bryan Mbeumo could help United if they decide to pursue him. That existing relationship might make negotiations easier. Real Madrid value Tchouameni at around €100 million, which is approximately £88 million. That is a lot of money but probably fair for a 25-year-old midfielder playing for Real Madrid. So Tchouameni is good. Nobody is denying that. The question is not whether he is talented. The question is whether United should spend £88 million on him when they already have Casemiro performing excellently. And the answer to that question is absolutely not. Comparing Tchouameni to Casemiro. Let us look at the statistics and compare these two midfielders. Because the numbers tell a very interesting story that should make United think twice about this potential transfer. In terms of progressive passes per 90 minutes, Tchouameni averages 5.88 while Casemiro averages 4.41. So Tchouameni is better at moving the ball forward. Point to Tchouameni. But in tackles 1 per 90 minutes, Casemiro averages 1.76 while Tchouameni only averages 0.82. That is more than double. Casemiro is much more effective at winning the ball back through tackles. Point to Casemiro. In ball recoveries per 90 minutes, Casemiro averages 5.74, while Tchouameni averages 4.23. Again, Casemiro is significantly better. Another point to Casemiro. So what do these statistics tell us? They tell us that Casemiro is currently outperforming Tchouameni in key defensive metrics. The areas where you most need your defensive midfielder to excel, winning tackles and recovering the ball, Casemiro is superior. Yes, Tchouameni is younger. Yes, he might have more years left at the top level. Yes, his progressive passing is better. But right now, today, Casemiro is the better player. Why would you replace someone who is performing at a higher level? The report itself acknowledges this. It says the statistics highlight just how impressive Casemiro has been in recent months, rather than indicating anything major about Tchouameni's form. That is a polite way of saying Casemiro is better right now. If United signed Tchouameni for £88 million and he performs worse than Casemiro did, fans will be furious. They will ask why the club spent that money when they already had a better option. And they will be right to ask those questions. The financial insanity. Let us talk about money for a moment, because this is where the Tchouameni idea becomes truly absurd from a financial perspective. Option 1. Extend Casemiro's contract for 1 or 2 more years. This would probably cost somewhere between £20 and £40 million total in wages depending on the length and terms. But there would be no transfer fee. 0. You are keeping a player you already have who is performing well. Option 2. Let Casemiro leave and sign Tchouameni for £88 million transfer fee plus probably £200,000 per week in wages. Over a 5-year contract, that is £88 million in transfer fee plus £52 million in wages. Total cost, £140 million. So United would spend an extra £100 to £120 million to replace a player who is currently better. How does that make any financial sense? Where is the logic in that business decision? Ineos are supposed to be bringing financial discipline to Manchester United. They are supposed to be making smart decisions. They are supposed to be avoiding the wasteful spending that characterized United's transfer business in recent years. But spending £88 million to replace a player who is performing excellently would be exactly the kind of wasteful decision Ineos should be preventing. That £88 million could be spent elsewhere. On a young midfielder who could develop alongside or eventually replace Casemiro. On attacking reinforcements, on defensive depth, on any number of positions where United actually need improvement. But spending it to replace someone who is playing well, that is throwing money away. And here is another financial consideration. Casemiro's wages are high, probably around £300,000 to £350,000 per week. But you are already paying those wages. They are a sunk cost until his contract expires. So keeping him for another year or 2 costs nothing extra beyond the extension. You are just continuing to pay what you are already paying. Compare that to signing Tchouameni. You would be paying his wages on top of any remaining obligation to Casemiro if his contract does not expire immediately. You might end up paying wages for 2 defensive midfielders when you only need one. That is terrible squad management. Why contract talks are dragging. So why are contract talks with Casemiro dragging on if extending him makes so much sense? What is the holdup? Probably wages. Casemiro is 33 years old, turning 34 in February. He is on high wages now. He wants to maintain those wages in any extension. United probably want to reduce them given his age. This is where negotiations typically get stuck. From Casemiro's perspective, he is playing well. He has rediscovered his form. He is an important player for the team. Why should he accept a pay cut? He might argue that his performances justify keeping his current wages. From United's perspective, he is 33 years old. How many more years can he maintain this level? Is it smart to commit to high wages for a player who might decline in the next year or two? They probably want some protection in case his form drops again. This is the classic negotiation between club and player when the player is older but still performing. Both sides have legitimate points. Both sides have reasons for their positions. Finding middle ground requires compromise from both parties. But here is the thing. Even if Casemiro wants to keep his current £350,000 per week and United want to reduce it to £250,000, surely they can find a compromise somewhere around £300,000. Surely they can agree terms that keep everyone reasonably happy. Because the alternative, spending £88 million on Tchouameni, is so much worse financially that almost any compromise with Casemiro would be better. United need to stop being stubborn about this. If the difference between keeping Casemiro and losing him is £50,000 per week, just pay it. That is £2.6 million per year. Tchouameni would cost £88 million upfront. You could pay Casemiro that extra £50,000 per week for 33 years before it equals what Tchouameni would cost. Be sensible. Find a compromise. Get the deal done. What Amorim actually wants. The report says Ruben Amorim wants to keep Casemiro. That should tell you everything. The manager, the person who works with these players every day, the person who sees them in training and matches, the person who knows what they contribute wants Casemiro to stay. Amorim is not someone who makes decisions based on sentiment. He is not keeping Casemiro around because he is a nice guy. He wants to keep him because he is performing and contributing. Because he fits the system. Because he provides quality and experience that United need. When your manager tells you he wants to keep a player, you should listen. When your manager says this player is important to how we want to play, you should take that seriously. When your manager indicates that losing this player would create a problem, you should do everything possible to keep him. Instead, United appear to be considering ignoring Amorim's wishes and spending £88 million on a replacement he did not ask for. That makes no sense. That is bad management. That is not supporting your manager properly. If Amorim wants Casemiro, Ineos should be doing everything possible to extend his contract. Not planning for expensive replacements. Not preparing to spend huge money elsewhere. Just sort out the contract extension and give the manager what he wants. This is the same mistake United have made repeatedly over the years. Not backing managers properly. Not giving them the players they want. Making transfer decisions that contradict what the manager has asked for. Ineos need to be better than this. The smart solution. So what should Manchester United actually do in this situation? The answer is obvious. Extend Casemiro's contract. Keep him for another 1 or 2 years. Save the £88 million for other positions. Let Amorim continue working with a midfielder who is performing well. This is not a permanent solution. Casemiro is 33 and will need replacing eventually. But you do not need to replace him immediately. You can extend him now and then look for his long-term replacement in the summer or next year when better options might be available at better prices. The smart approach would be to extend Casemiro for 2 years. That gives you security. That gives Amorim time to work with a midfielder he trusts. And it gives United time to properly identify and pursue Casemiro's eventual successor without panic or desperation. During those 2 years, United can scout young defensive midfielders across Europe. They can identify players who are developing and showing potential. They can target someone younger than Tchouameni who would cost less but could develop into something special. Players like João Gomez from Wolves or other options who represent better value. By the time Casemiro needs replacing, United will have had 2 years to find the perfect successor. They can make a smart, strategic signing rather than a desperate reaction to losing Casemiro. That is proper planning. That is how well-run clubs operate. The alternative, spending £88 million on Tchouameni immediately, is wasteful and unnecessary. It is the kind of reactive decision-making that United need to move away from. It is panic rather than planning. It is exactly what Ineos should be preventing. Final thoughts. The idea of Manchester United spending £88 million on Aurelien Tchouameni when Casemiro is performing brilliantly makes no sense. None whatsoever. It would be wasteful spending on a problem that does not exist. Casemiro has rediscovered his form. He is playing well. His manager wants to keep him. He is outperforming Tchouameni statistically in key areas. There is no reason to replace him right now. The smart solution is obvious. Extend Casemiro's contract for another year or two. Save the £88 million. Use that time to properly identify his long-term successor rather than making a panic signing. If United ignore this logic and sign Tchouameni anyway, it will show they have learned nothing from past mistakes. It will show they are still making expensive, unnecessary signings instead of being smart and strategic. It will show Ineos are no better than the people who ran United previously. Contract negotiations can be difficult. Compromises need to be made. But surely finding middle ground with Casemiro is better than spending £88 million on someone else. Surely paying him an extra year or two of high wages is better than a massive transfer fee plus new wages. This should not be complicated. Casemiro is playing well. Amorim wants him. Keep him. End of discussion. Thank you for demanding financial sense. Thank you for reading at United News, where we demand financial sense from Manchester United. Spending £88 million to replace someone performing well would be absurd. We hope Ineos are smarter than that. Glory, glory, Man United.